Just to kind of give you a little bit of assistance as far as writing equations of lines, because we're going to write our equations of lines in one of two ways. We're either going to use slope-intercept form, or we're going to use point-slope form. Now, regardless of which form we use, there's a certain amount of information that we need. We need the following. One point and one slope, or we need 2 points. Now, the way this information is given to us can vary. It can vary drastically, but let's look at two examples that work with our parallel lines and our perpendicular lines. So, let's say that I want to do the following. Let's say I want to write the equation of a line and this is going to be, let's write it in slope-intercept form. So we're going to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that passes through let's see, we're going to pass through the point 2, -1, and is parallel to y equals 7x plus 1. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. Now, there's a few things that we have. We have an x value and we have a y value. And the fact that we are parallel tells me that the slope we are going to be using is the exact same as the slope of this line, so 7. So how are we actually going to write this equation? Well, we want it in slope-intercept form, so let's just go y equals mx plus b. I know my m, I don't know my b. If I knew my b, I could write the equation. Luckily, we have an x and a y. So, -1 is going to equal 7 times 2 plus b. Now, 7 times 2 is 14. So, -1 equals 14 plus b. And then when we subtract 14 from both sides of our equation, we end up with -15 is b. Okay, so we have all of our information now. We just need to write the equation of our line. And we are going to do that such like this. Y equals my slope, which is 7, x minus 15. Okay, so there's one example of a parallel line and us writing an equation. Let's look at an example of a perpendicular line, and we want to write an equation. So I'm going to say perpendicular to 3x minus 2y is 5, comma, we go through the point 6, 1, and we want this equation in answer in point slope form. Now, the traditional way of figuring out what our slope is by solving this equation for y. So if we solve that for y, we have 3x minus 2y is 5. We subtract 3x from both sides of our equation. So negative 2y is equal to negative 3x plus 5. Then we divide everything by negative 2. And when we divide everything by negative 2, we end up with y equals 3/2 x minus 5/2. Now, we want to write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to this one. And since we want the equation of our line to be perpendicular to this one, we need to figure out what value that is. And this is where taking the opposite reciprocal comes into play. So the opposite reciprocal, we take the negative because that's opposite, so negative. Reciprocal means that the numerator and the denominator of our fraction trade places. So 2/3. This is the slope that I want to work with. Now, we have our slope. We also have an x1 and a y1. So since we want to write our answer in point slope form, y minus my y1, which is 1, equals my slope of negative 2/3, then x minus 6. Now, this is just, understand that even though we were doing this for parallel and perpendicular lines, this process doesn't change. If I want to write a line in slope-intercept form, and I am given a slope of 3/5 and a point of negative 15, 2, I can do this. So let's look at that. Y equals mx plus b. My m is 3/5. My x is negative 15. And my y is 2. Which means I can now figure out what b is. 3/5 times negative 15 is, of course, going to give us negative 9. And if we then add 9 to both sides of our equation, we end up with 11 is equal to b. So our final answer is y equals 3/5 x plus 11. Okay, that will do it for this video, and I will see you